Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And with that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors.
Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time.
All right. Thank y'all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
What up, y'all? It's HEADY.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, what you do?
Absolutely.
It's that like Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
Hell yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I go by HEADY, formerly HeadSU. It's also my Instagram handle. I was born out here in Portland, grew up kind of in Idaho area, but I've always been in the Pacific Northwest, moved back to Portland, and now I'm making music out here, kind of make industrial cloud rap, sort of moved on from the darker stuff that I used to be on, but still have that kind of industrial side to it. But yeah, now I'm just out here hosting shows. I got a tape coming soon.
Hell yeah.
So lots of big things on the way for sure.
Hell yeah, I dig that. Yeah. And what got you started into music initially?
So initially I was actually doing stand-up comedy before I was really in the music world.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I was doing that. I went to high school in Boise, so...
real quick,
yeah.
Top 3 favorite comedians.
Ooh, that's a good one. Norm.
Nice.
Gotta be my number one.
Let's twist it a little bit. Top 3 living comedians.
That's a tough one. Okay. In no particular order, because it's ever changing. I would probably put Chappelle up there.
Okay.
Jim Gaffigan is also up there for me. I think Theo Von is also up there for me as well. That's probably an ever-changing list, but that's who I got right now.
Fair enough. I'll at least meet in the middle. For me, it's Mark Norman, Sam Morrill, and Dave Attell.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's right there.
All right, but
nice.
Get back to your story.
Cool. No, you're good. So I'm doing stand-up in Boise, Idaho. Rest in peace to the stand-up club that I used to go to. They would sneak us in, underage, of course, so we got to be on the bill for just the very beginning of it.
Yep.
But, didn't really love that. It was cool, but I just didn't feel like it was really working for me 100%.
Yeah.
COVID comes around. I'm in Portland at this point in time, and I've had the interest for music for a bit, but it's not something I've really stepped off the deep end for. So I finally take the risk. I've got all the time in the world locked up for COVID, so finally learn how to make music. So 2020 is pretty much when I really got dropping the seeds, kind of sowing, tending the garden a little bit. Sort of just developing myself for the 2 or 3 years, kind of getting out some tapes, making connections, all that. And then the last couple years really feel like I've blown the door open on just sort of getting the roots out really in Portland specifically, and hosting shows and just getting on stage a lot more, kind of developing the brand. Yeah.
I dig that.
Hell yeah.
And growing up, was anybody in your household musical at all?
My dad, he played the drums a little bit in school. He was in I think he was in a Kiss cover band for a while. So that was sort of not too musical of a family, to be honest. I think I would probably say I'm the most musical of.
Well, that's fair. I mean, hey, being in a Kiss cover band is pretty rad.
It was, I think that was as a kid, and it might have been a Halloween costume sort of thing. Very, very brief stint, but something I think is pretty dope.
Fair.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then before we get into more what you do in the present day, I do have a couple foundation questions I like to check in with everybody on.
Hell yeah.
And this first one's one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
It's such a tough answer, and it immediately comes to my head. Logic Under Pressure.
Okay.
Not a bad album by any means, but I remember running the album through so many times. I think I was in middle school and I finally had the money enough to buy it on iTunes or whatever. But I remember running through it so many times, I was sick of every single song. You know, you knew all the lyrics. I'm like, I think I just deleted it off the iPod. I was like, I gotta get something new. And
That's fair.
there kind of stepped into other rap albums and all that. But yeah, that was the first one.
Gotcha. I dig that. And then what was one of the first live shows you ever went to that was like specifically one you wanted to go to?
Yeah.
You saw what was happening. You got the tickets. You went to it.
That's a good way to frame the question, because I went to Imagine Dragons in 8th grade, but I certainly wouldn't consider that my first concert, you know? Yeah.
I mean, I imagine that was probably a pretty cool show. Yeah, like
Amazing show, yeah.
Performers first and foremost.
Couldn't hear for like an entire day and a half after that one. Yeah. But I would say, I think it's kind of tragic. I didn't go to this concert, bought tickets for, and I was super excited. The Swimming Tour, Mac Miller.
Damn.
48 hours after.
Damn.
That he passed away. And so it's like, oh man, opening, like Thundercat was opening, like would have been a lifetime concert. That summer, I think it was my senior year of high school, I went to Playboy Cardi.
Okay.
Doing like a Summer of Chaos tour. And that was like my first rap show, which is crazy to even think about. Not too many good rappers coming through the city at that point in time.
And this was when you were still in Idaho?
Yes, this is still in Boise, yeah. So it's like weird that he was even coming through, I feel like.
I mean, Boise is at least like a somewhat like big. Is it the capital of? Okay, yeah.
It is Idaho's
I'm
capital.
not a geographer, so I don't know anything like that.
The Idaho experts out here either, you know.
Okay, so I mean, like if they were gonna stop anywhere, that would definitely be the place.
That would be the spot in Idaho for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But he was like 4 hours late. I was tripping off acid, so it didn't like
allegedly.
Oh, yeah, exactly, in Minecraft, right? And he like it wasn't coming on until he finally like hit the stage, and I was like, oh my, like it was insane, crazy show.
Hell yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
And then before we officially get into it, and I guess you already kind of touched on this, but do you have a defining moment where you decided you wanted to take music more seriously?
Yeah, I think it was like one of the stand-up, guess it was basically just an open mic, like at the end of the day. I would be calling it a show, but it really wasn't a show. Yeah. I'm doing 5 minutes as an open mic, but...
Well, more I mean like just, and past the initial first point where you decided, like was there somewhere in the middle where you were like, this is it?
I had kind of been doing both at that point in time.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
A little bit of like I had been dipping into poetry a little bit as well, and like had one performance where I was like, oh man, like that was just terrible. Like I kind of just felt like that was it, like my send-off from like that night, started writing songs, and it was like kind of felt like a good transformation, you know, like
gotcha.
sort of shedding, you know, whatever butterfly sort of metaphor you want to use.
Gotcha. I dig that.
Yeah.
Well, then let's go ahead. Let's get into the now.
Yeah.
We are going to get a super easy one out of the way first, though. How'd you pick the name?
Yeah. So initially, Head SU came from, it was like a meme account I was running. And it just kind of came about like from a different meme that I saw. And it was sort of just like some dumb shit that I was like willing to roll with. Then I think I was Head SU for 3 years and change. And I was kind of getting tired of it, and it didn't feel like a name that was like could be very like commercial with. Not that that was the goal 100%, but it makes things more difficult. So people had been calling me Heady, like some of the fan base I'd developed in Boise had been calling me Heady for a little bit. So I sort of ran with that, and I kind of liked how it sounded.
Gotcha. Okay, I dig that. Yeah, the current version is definitely, it's a little more direct. It's easy to remember. It's easy to spell, and it feels very like nicknamey.
Yeah.
But like in a way where it's like, it just makes people feel like comfortable with you quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I feel like I was heavily influenced by like JPEG Mafia early on. So I was like, his nickname is kind of Peggy. So
yeah.
like, I don't know, sort of felt like a little bit of similarity there. It felt comfortable. Yeah.
Also, JPEG Mafia is just a wild find of a name. Like the fact that he was able to pull that off. There are very few times where you see like something that abstract that just works. That, like people like are like, this doesn't make sense, but I 100% get it.
I feel like it fits the music a lot, you know? It's like,
very much so.
Whatever, you know, the distorted internet kind of vibe. I feel like I try to carry that with my own stuff too, like heady sort of, you know, intoxicating. It's a little bit where I kind of try to make my music lean a little bit.
Gotcha.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually that segues well. Let's talk about your writing process a little bit.
Yeah.
And we're going to break it up into chunks, but we're going to start right at the beginning. Cool. So when you get inspired, you're ready to make music. How do you go about getting a track started?
Yeah. I feel like if I answered this question a year ago, it would have been like, oh, well, I pull up Google Docs and I, you know, write whatever 2 or 3 drafts of this song. But lately I've been trying to like kind of flex the creative muscle a little more, like do a little more punching in, do a little more freestyling. So I would say like at this moment in time, it's probably getting the beat downloaded, putting it in the DAW, you know, like I have a home studio, so it's kind of getting all the things going like sort of on my own.
What DAW are you using?
Logic Pro.
Okay, so we're gonna edit that to say Ableton. No, I'm kidding.
That's funny.
Oh yeah. And then as far as like beat selection goes, are you just getting them online? Do you have a person?
Yeah, I feel like that kind of varies. Like YouTube is, I always joke like, oh, I've got like a cousin who's a producer, like his name's YouTube, but it's like
that.
you know, I've certainly had like my fair share of producers over the years. All people that I like love and keep in touch with still. But lately it's been YouTube more, just like the accessibility of it and like, you know, search by BPM. Like it's just so, you know, so customizable.
Yeah.
What you're looking for.
It's gotten to the point now where it is very much you can just kind of reach in and grab it. It's not like back in the day where you had to Google the most obscure sites.
Exactly. Yeah. Find some, you know, yeah.
And then once you get a track finished writing, so it doesn't have to be like recorded and released per se, although it sounds kind of like by your process that all happens in kind of a motion now.
Yeah.
But once you've gotten it to the point where you can start like learning it and getting ready to get out there with it, how long does it usually take you to feel comfortable enough to perform a track?
That's a good question. I have tracks out that I sometimes will, well, maybe let me rephrase the answer to that. I have tracks that I've performed that I've decided mid-performance, like, maybe I'm not actually releasing this, you know, that sometimes I'll keep some unreleased, just sort of on the docket for that. So I think you know, some songs I'm immediately like, I got to buy the lease. I got to get this out now. I got to perform it. You know, it's like, it feels right. Other ones, they feel like they need a little testing. So I think, you know.
Well, more, I mean, like, how long does it take you to feel like you can perform a track once you've written it?
Oh, I see. That's a good, okay. Yeah. Hosting my own shows, I definitely see a lot of people like, oh, I performed this, or like, I recorded this tonight, whatever. It's like, oh, I recorded this on the way over. It's like, you never, like, it's never 100%, you know? Like, that is always a recipe for failure. So, I don't know, like, I got to have a final version and have listened to it at least 100 times. So, a couple weeks of me having the track before I perform it.
Okay.
Maybe a week, like, minimum.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I do like, I think my performance is a little more like, having made the mistakes, you know, and like being on stage, not knowing the lyrics, it's like, I'm going to try to avoid that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And actually, that segues well. Let's talk about your music a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So I jumped on, I went to Spotify and I went to SoundCloud.
Okay.
So we're going to stick to Spotify because I jumped on SoundCloud and you've got music going all the way back to 2020 on there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a lot.
There's a
ridiculous
ton.
amount. Like you said you started in 2020. I don't think you've stopped since 2020.
Not a day.
I counted, it's a total of 18 albums. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And just like as far as individual tracks go, I couldn't even begin to try.
Yeah.
SoundCloud's app is not the best, especially when it's the free version. So
And I don't blame you, you know, that's
please sponsor me. Let's do this.
yeah, come on, SoundCloud.
But like I said, I decided to jump on Spotify. It seems like it's got more recent stuff because you got stuff going all the way back to 2024 on there, but it's still like 4 albums plus like some singles here and there. So it's still a very wide variety of your sound, and it's cool. I mean, it's a little on the wild side. It's very
Absolutely.
modern. The beats are thick, and your delivery is as well. It's a little more staccato. It's a little more like heavily affected, but it's got a strong listenability to it, which I thought was, because I'll be honest, this is not my primary genre that I listen to. And like, you know, I listen to everything, especially for the show, but like, this is not something I usually mainstay in. So when it comes to this kind of sound, periodically I've caught myself being like, I'll listen to like three or 4 and then I'll kind of skim through everything. But I was listening to yours and honestly, I just let it run.
I appreciate that. Hell yeah.
And it was cool. Like I appreciate that you've got different feels, you've got different styles. You've got some heavier stuff on the earlier end as opposed to now where it's a little more like kind of in this like you said, industrial is a good way to put it. It lives in this really interesting like middle range. And I think your most recent track, Face ID Not Recognized, or is it Face I'd Not Recognized?
Ooh. ID, but I like that. I like the double entendre there. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So if you want to start introducing it that way,
cool.
Yeah, you know, you don't have to say you got it from me, but
yeah, exactly. You get 1%.
It could be this for sure.
Cool.
But it's
like
cool.
that.
It's very like it's got these really interesting like melodic elements to it. So like there are these spots that are very musical within the track, and it just it links everything together in this way that's like chaotically engaging is kind of the only phrase I could like.
That's a great description.
Yeah, it definitely
a lot.
it keeps
I like
you
that
on
a
your
lot.
toes, but it's not off-putting. So
Hell yeah.
it's a super cool track.
That's dope. I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much.
But I am curious to know, out of all the music you have available, what are some of your favorite tracks to perform?
Ooh. I think Face ID Not Recognized is definitely up there. I've performed that probably like 4 or 5 times now, and it's always like, that's a fun one.
Oh yeah.
Gets people going. The other single I released this year, HEADY ID, is also a fun one. That one's a little more of a breather for me because it's like, you know, both verses are kind of like door to door. Like I'm just sort of rapping the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those are both fun ones. I'm trying to think. A classic. I'm assuming, so like I kind of mentioned earlier, like I was Head SU right before Heady. I still have that Spotify profile active.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't.
Where, you know, and that's like totally.
I didn't realize.
Like at this point in time, it's by design, right? Like a new, sort of a new profile, a new direction. But there are a couple songs on the Head SU profile. One of them's called Humidity. That's basically just like a straight scream track. That's like I've had some very fun performances with that one.
Okay.
So yeah, it's, I definitely have done like my fair share of experimenting. I'm trying to think of another like classic one. There's another, there's like an Edgar Allan Poe homage song I did called Telltale Heart that I did a music video to in Boise as well. But that one's a really fun one as well. That's, I might send you that after the show because it's sort of the perfect industrial cloud, dark, like, it is an old song like on my old profile, but I think it transfers well.
Gotcha. Okay, I dig that.
Yeah, but I'd say those are probably my 3 right there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then earlier you'd mentioned that you also put on shows and things like that.
Yeah.
What made you want to like kind of step into that realm more versus just like being a performer?
I think, I mean, honestly, like the main goal initially was like see as many people as I could connect with. And that goal certainly was achieved almost instantly. But also like it's hard to find shows out here, especially like consistently. So I think it was partially like if I'm hosting shows, like I get myself a little stage time and it's like just a mutually beneficial thing. You know, everyone kind of, everyone's sort of benefiting from it. So I think it was like those 2 things. I'm also like, I don't know, I'd like to think of myself as like, at least in this stage of my career, like trying to kind of create some waves, you know, create a little bit of movement and motion. So the idea, I guess, was sort of like get a little notoriety from this as well, maybe in the city. You know, I feel like Portland's rap game is not lacking necessarily, but just needs a spotlight. You know,
I gotcha.
That's kind of where I'm stepping in.
That's also a very like stand-up comedy approach.
Yeah, right.
Like if you can't find spots, make your own. Like, you know, that's always been that approach in that space. So
Definitely valid 100%. Yeah,
that was a very applicable comparison.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Now I want to take a moment. Then I want to zoom out. What are you listening to right now? What are you taking in as just a music experiencer?
It's definitely, and I'm sure my other artists out there relate to this, like listening to your own stuff so much, you kind of start to get to the point, you know, I'm car checking, like I'm speaker checking, headphone checking, like all these things with the mix and with the master. And it's like, geez, like I'm listening to my shit a lot. So it's, you know, like old Korean songs or like, I don't know, you know, just stuff to decompress. Like
whatever's like the farthest away from your
like
sound.
Beautiful Brazilian song that I found the other day. It's like just been spinning through my head. Like, trying to think like album wise, a lot of Saba. Like if I'm listening to rap, it's usually something chill, like Isaiah Rashad, Smino, Saba. I think those are like underlying influences I don't think about that are kind of, you know, touching my sound to this day a little bit. Yeah, poetic side anyway.
Hell yeah.
I just bought Anderson .Paak and it's the album with the X.
Oh god.
Is it No Lord or Yes Lord or?
I'm the worst with names, so you're asking the wrong guy, unfortunately. But I know what you're talking about.
I just picked that up and AT Aliens, Outcast. So been bumping those a lot lately. Just
hell yeah.
Spinning vinyl, honestly.
No, I dig that.
Hell yeah.
And then before I had a question that was like outside of the realm of format, and I was gonna put it in here, but it has left my brain.
It'll come back.
So we're gonna jump this last one, and before we move on to the next portion, this next question is probably the densest question in the interview. But, you know, we talked about your experience with music, the actions, the reactions. But when it's just you and music one-on-one, what does music give back to you?
That's a good question. And that is a dense question. I think, like, the initial appeal for me in music was, like, the antithesis of stand-up comedy, I think, which is like constant, like, it's not inherently people pleasing, but like it is to a certain extent. You're trying to make people laugh, and that's the outcome, right? So I think music for me was like understanding, like, oh, this can be like for me and for someone else, and I think that still is like 100% true for me. Like making a song, like I feel, you know, like I don't know if a weight off my shoulders is the right word, but it's like I feel the transfer of energy from like me to this project that I have, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the thing that always has me coming back. It's really like no process that's ever been so compelling for me for anything else, you know. Like I was invested in stand-up comedy, sure, but you know, I don't know, just every process of the music making thing is like just is enticing and exciting. I don't know.
It's very like it's cool because it's like hands-on, but it's like hands-on to set you up for like other spaces where like the hands kind of move in different ways.
I agree 100%. Yeah. It's like, I don't know, the perfect balance for me of like branding, marketing, like artistry, creativity, like the physical side of writing. It's like, I don't know, I think just works very well for me, you know, the supernatural kind of like connection to some like craft. I feel like that's kind of what I have with this right now. Yeah.
Well, then they are both very performative. Like you were saying, it is very, you give to the audience responds.
Yeah.
And actually, Mark Norman on the We Might Be Drunk podcast, he compares music to comedy in a really cool way. If you can find the clip of it at some point, like it's actually he does a good job breaking it down.
That's a smart guy right there. So I believe it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But actually, I guess before we move into the next portion, so I am a fan of stand-up comedy. That's my realm. And I don't get a lot of people who have done both.
Yeah.
So I am curious, what are some of the like similarities you've found between the two and like the like creating side of it?
Yeah. It's certainly I think the initial thing, and this actually might be someone you know, Kill Tony, you're familiar with that? Casey Rocket.
I have seen every episode of Kill Tony.
Casey Rocket was performing at the same club that I was performing at before it got shut down. He was kind of in this like weird little circle of like Boise comedians. I don't know if he actually lived there or he just stopped in.
Yeah. I don't think he lives anywhere technically. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Point, right. Wherever the van goes.
Yeah.
But sort of like and I wouldn't say cliquey, but like the usual suspects kind of sort of thing of open mics, or like for us, it's like artist showcases. You know, you start to see like, okay, that person's kind of like the locals. You know, like you start to see the regulars as well.
Yeah.
So I would say it's not a creative similarity, but just kind of like a funny thing I've picked up on over the years. You get your scene guys, I guess is like the best description of that.
Yeah.
In terms of like actually writing the jokes or the songs, you know, in this case now, I was pen and paper for all of my jokes, and I would bring my notebook up on stage with me. I would forget, get nervous and forget the jokes. So I think the dissimilarity for me, maybe, like I can just find like once the beat starts going, you know, the anxiety is removed a little bit. Like once the music and the performance begin, like I sort of step into that zone where I feel like with stand-up, it's very dependent on like, oh, if this joke doesn't land, like, you know, I don't know. You get confidence throughout the set, which is also similar to music and the crowd responses. But for me personally, you know, it was an interesting difference.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah. I know it's kind of an odd one, so I appreciate you kind of digging this apart with me.
That's I'm sure I could give you a bunch of answers. But yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. Good question. Hell yeah.
Now let's go ahead and we're going to move on to some hypothetical questions.
Do it.
And for these, sky's the limits. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. But this first one is pretty straightforward. If you could work with any one person, the only requirement is they have to be alive. Who would you want to work with, and how would you want to work with them?
And they're willing, right? Like
yeah. This is hypothetical, of course.
It's like the Jay-Z dinner hypotheticals. I'm just like, I don't know if Jay-Z wants to have dinner with me, you know?
Yes, in this scenario, it is a mutual experience.
Okay, cool. I think, oh man, that's a good question. That's a really good question. I think like, feels definitive, you know? I feel like I'm getting the call after this.
I gotcha.
That's funny. I don't know, man. That's a hard one.
I mean, I don't think Logic lives too far from here.
Yeah, me in middle school would have said that probably. I would have jumped on that one.
See, I would still, I think him now would be a cool person to work with.
Absolutely.
Maybe not so much like jump on an album of his, but like he's got knowledge. He's got experience.
Yeah, and he can produce too, right?
Yeah, at least I imagine he does to some degree.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would be a cool one, but I'm not picking your answer for you.
No, I think... I don't know. It's that, but it's like a new school version of that. You know, it's like who's the new school Tyler, right? Like,
I think Tyler's busy being the current.
Yeah, he is.
Tough one.
He is. That's a good point.
Who is the new school Tyler? Because he's made the rounds. He's basically got up to the top there.
Yeah,
that is a great question.
Self-produced. I mean, I think JPEG Mafia would honestly be my pick. I think
hell yeah,
kind of exactly what we're talking about, right?
Yeah,
produced, good persona. I think that actually would fit my music way better than Tyler the Creator. So I don't know. I think that would be a fun one.
Hell yeah,
that would be a fun one.
Damn, now I need a JPEG and Tyler song that's current.
Well, I need that yesterday. Yeah.
I imagine they probably crossed paths at some point in the past. They kind of had realms. But like
similar personalities too, I feel like at the end of the day, you know.
Yeah. But I mean like
in all caps.
Them making a track now would be wild. Yeah. Oh man.
That would be insane.
Well, you guys, I know you both watched this, so let's get on it. And then subsequently, who's a local artist that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to?
That's good. That's a great question. Honestly, I think there are like got a lot of little like this cloud rap subgenre, I think is like definitely exploded the underground scene. I think there's a lot of artists out there that I would be down to make a track with that are kind of on that same vibe. I would say honestly like Zanywick, you know who? Have you interviewed him? Yeah, I'd say Zanywick.
I know who that is.
He's kind of on the same vibe. Would say also OK Mateo.
Okay.
I don't know if you're tapped in with him as well. Yeah, but he's sort of both kind of like a little more like electronic rap.
Yeah.
Vibes.
Oh yeah, I dig that.
To wrap my brain for a few more. I've been wanting to collab like Nomad Blue. That's a guy on my list too. I got songs with G So Lit in the vault that we need to drop.
Shout out G So Lit.
Big shout outs. But yeah, there's probably a bunch of other guys I just can't remember right now. Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely a pretty solid list right there. And everybody, you know what to do. At them in the comments. Let's see if we can make that happen.
100%.
And then for this next one, like I said before, sky's the limits, and it's pretty literal in this sense. But if you could perform anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or building stability or power, it was guaranteed the best lineup, guaranteed the best show. And it doesn't have to be a venue. It could be anywhere.
That's cool.
Where would you want to perform?
We're doing a show in the cave. I don't know where. I don't know if it's a catacomb show, you know, but a France catacomb show would be pretty insane. Probably a health hazard. A lot of dust in the air.
You know.
But I mean, yeah, we all got the N95s. I think it's fine.
Well, you know, smog.
Yeah.
We're not far from it anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. I think that would be on the list. I don't know. There's a billion hypotheticals I could do for that. I've been wanting to do, like Red Rocks is on the list, of course. Sit down and do like, make some crazy shit for the Eye in Vegas, you know. I think that's a bucket list one as well. If I can ever get that big, you know, that would be insane too. So I'd say those are my top three probably.
I dig that.
Yeah.
And then to wrap up the hypothetical questions, if you could get one more album from anybody, they could be alive, they could be dead, they could have not put out an album in 100 years, they could have put out an album yesterday. Who would you want an album from?
Got to spend my wish wisely, so it's probably needs to be someone who's retired or dead, right?
I mean, I want a new Tyler album already, so yeah.
True. That's true. And as do I, but you know, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I really like his newest one. I just want to know what comes next.
This isn't answering the question. I just wish Yandi had dropped, you know? I don't know. Anyway, that's non sequitur, but that's just what that reminded me of. One more album from somebody. You got the good questions, man. I gotta say, you know, got me racking my brain. Another Andre rap album.
Okay.
That's what I would request.
Yeah.
That's what I would request.
I would love an album from him with like big names of today. You know what I mean? So like obviously Tyler, I'd love a track with like him and Doechii, you know what I mean? Like
Again, they always have insane chemistry. Him and I should have used my wish on Frank Ocean, but
I've said that so many times on this show. Frank, I know you're watching.
He's a loyal fan. He's been here.
What are we doing?
Yeah. When's Frank coming on, right?
Yeah, right? Oh, believe
yeah.
He hasn't messaged me back yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Funny.
All right, but with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up.
Yeah, sounds good.
What can we look forward to between, let's say, now and September?
Now in September, yeah. I'm definitely going to have some more mixtapes out. I've been slacking. You saw, like you were saying earlier, 14 albums. I'm used to dropping multiple albums a year, so I got to get back to that kind of pacing. The music industry now has definitely been slowing everyone down, making you focus on one song for months, but just trying to drop some mixtapes. Got a 55503. That's going to be the most recent one coming out soon. It's kind of my Portland homage, as well as like sort of my homage to myself. I got a versus style 1v1 show coming up.
Okay.
Trying to come up like some new show formats around town, but trying to find a venue for that. But 16 artist March Madness style bracket.
Gotcha.
$5 entry, winner takes the pool kind of thing. We'll be heavily promoting that too. So, I'm sure you'll be seeing me talk about that in the future.
Hell yeah.
But just other shows too. I got one next week, next Saturday actually. It's going to be the Off the Gram show. Risky is the one that's putting that one on. I'll be hosting. Got G So Lit, OD3. I'm trying to think. I believe Graves is going to be on that as well.
Okay.
So yeah, I got some guys on that. Then we got another house show coming up May 5th. Presented by Taco Truck Studios. That's kind of my little collective swim team. It's kind of like we're doing some performances there.
Beam, right?
Is it? I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Well, shout out to Beam either way.
Hell yeah. I should be more tapped in with that since I'm gonna be on the show. But yeah. That's we got another one. I think it's May 5th.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, another it's finally getting warm outside, so we're hitting the backyard shows finally.
Oh, believe me, the early part of the year has been interesting for my showcases. I'm just like, hey, I know it's January 17th, but get on in here, everybody.
Exactly. It's the thing that makes me depressed about the winter, I was trying to drag people out there.
I've learned that at least people here are aware, you know what I mean? And if you kind of plan it strategically, people will go because they just need to get out.
Yeah.
They want to be outside when they're out. So if you can be like, hey, I promise this is a cool inside. So like in the cold times, you just got to make sure you book like slightly classier venues.
True.
Yeah.
Or like, I feel like trivia night always gets the doors booked, the doors packed. So we got to do 6 to 8 trivia, 8 to 10 music, and then we got to keep people something.
I dig that.
It was an event.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
And then for this next one, go and look straight at your camera. Tell everybody how they can find you.
What's up, y'all? You find me on the gram at headass_you. Spotify is all caps HEADY, HEADY. Same thing with Apple Music. Same thing with SoundCloud. YouTube, I believe, is also going to be HEADY. You find all of my music videos out there. But yeah, tap in, y'all.
Oh, yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
I got a shout out to Swim Team. Those are my boys. We got a lot of big things coming soon. Might be a little summer tour involved as well. So big shout out to the Swim Team. Just want to shout out to the community we're putting on for 503 Heat. That's the show. That's the name of the show I'll be running. But big shout out to the 503 Heat fam. We're going to keep those going. Big artist showcases coming up soon. Shout out to Damn Designs. That's my girl. That's my designer, creative partner. We're coming up together. Tap in with her. And then I got one more thing for you as well before we go. Designed by Damn Designs herself. But I think that's it for my shout outs for now.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right, then with that being said, I've got one last question to go.
Let's go.
Before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second.
Do it. Hell yeah.
As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation. But in all of music, what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side? So it's a bit of a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know, but it's one you think everybody should know.
Angelic Hood Rap by Kenny Mason.
Interesting.
But the supercut.
Okay.
Supercut.
Hell yeah.
You listen to Kenny Mason?
I do, yeah.
That's Pup is one of my favorite songs.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know if you're a Pup guy.
I'm the worst. Again, I'm the worst with name. Like
Yeah. I feel.
especially because like in the early versions of this show, it was just me, and I would pick out 14 songs a day and talk about them.
Yeah.
So in a calendar year, I did breakdowns for over 3,200 songs. So the names of things.
I mean, you gotta know these things, you know.
Believe me, there's a reason why I have a 3,200 song playlist. Yeah, I could just search in there in the future.
That's funny, but yeah, no, it's that's my album. That's
Hell
my
yeah.
album. Hell yeah.
All right, but with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this
I
up.
got one more thing. I got a gift for you.
Yeah,
Now you'd mentioned you'd wanted a tee.
I do always be wearing locals.
He's got the tee. We don't have a tee in stock right now. We do have official HatAsU hat ass you, and then we've got some stickers as well. Everything is designed by the team. I was mentioning Damn Designs earlier. Got some stickers. We got the spider, the shark, we got the frog.
I don't know how well the camera's gonna see them from here.
No, that's all right.
Steal your camera for this thing.
Hell yeah.
There's that one there. I'm sure it's in focus. I'm trusting it.
Hell yeah. Big shout out to Damn Designs. Did all the designs on that.
This is not working out, but either way.
All right. It's all right.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate this.
Appreciate you having me on. Yeah, this was dope.
Hell yeah.
Sweet.
This has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
And I'm Heady.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all. That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.